Yeah, I won't be tonight.
My name is Councillor Hamil Clarke, and I'm the Mayor of Ipswich. This is not the first time I've been here. I've been here a couple of years ago as well, and it's getting bigger, and more young people are getting involved, which is great to see. I would like to see it continue to grow and prosper because this is a very good concept, and everyone is enjoying themselves. It's great.
Hello, we are talking about Caribbean migration and we have a great opportunity to have Mr. Hamil Clarke with us here today. Hello.
Hello.
Tell us what made you decide to come to Ipswich?
Well, in a nutshell, I came to Ipswich primarily because my sister was here.
Oh.
That's why I came straight to Ipswich. Coming to England is a different story because I wanted to further my education. I wanted firstly to be a dentist. That's why I left the Caribbean.
Okay. So did you come alone or you came with somebody?
No, I came alone.
Okay.
I came alone, yes.
So can you tell us more about your sister?
She came here in 1955 and she went straight to Colchester General Hospital. It was Severall's Hospital it was called then.
Okay.
To study nursing.
Oh.
Yes. Then she met her husband and then she moved to Ipswich.
Okay.
And I came then in 1960, lived with them for a number of years, moving from one address to the other. Yes. These two pictures here, one of my dad at the top, my mum at the bottom. One at the top, I just sitting in a pose. At the same time, I'm sitting at the bottom one is sitting at the piano. Believe it or not, I used to be able to play the piano well. These two is of my late wife's.
How did you find adjusting to a new atmosphere?
It was difficult adjusting to almost everything. Weather, yes. And although it was supposed to be sunny and warm, you were still cold. But one of the things as the weeks and months went on, and I had a real culture shock in seeing all the chimneys, smoke from all the houses, which I thought were all factories.
Oh.
Seeing the smoke because we're never used to seeing
Chimneys back.
chimneys.
So were you able to find any of your Caribbean foods, maybe stores here in Ipswich at that time?
There were a limited amount of Caribbean food, and you used to go to different corner shops that made a point of trying to accommodate both West Indian and Indian food. So we did. There was one English shop that he did cater for West Indian to a certain point, and that was a shop off the Norwich Road.
Okay.
Yes.
And were you able to celebrate your Caribbean traditions and custom at the time?
Yes, that was one thing that was always celebrated. But we didn't have a venue as such that we have, so we used to have parties at each other's houses, the different houses. And as that evolved, we started going to Cutter Street, which was then part of the Unitarian Church. But a lot of celebrations were held in each other's homes. Yes. The Caribbean Association started in a house.
Yeah.
ISCRI, as it is now, evolved. That started in someone's house.
Okay.
So those are two organisations that evolved over the years.
And what choices did you have when you came first to this country? Maybe with regard to the job or the health or the housing facilities?
Housing was always a problem.
Ah.
It wasn't a problem for me as an individual because I came
And stayed with your sister.
I stayed with my sister. One of the reasons that the Caribbean started was because of the housing problem, where you had difficulty finding somebody to rent. We, some of us, or some of my compatriots, was fortunate enough that you had friends that will take you in, and you shared rooms. I can remember seeing people going to work, one shift going to work, night and day. Some work days, some work nights, and there was always an element of rivalry between Barbadians and Jamaicans in particular. But it didn't stop you from fraternising and out each other when it really came to it. I mean, this rivalry started from the Caribbean and not necessarily from England. But when you got here, you did really pull together, and there wasn't that element of jealousy.
So did you receive any help from the government in settling down?
No. The house owners, they exploited you for start, but secondly, they'll tell you that they don't want any blacks, they don't want any Irish, and they don't want any dogs, so they lump those three together. That's one of the things that drew the Caribbean community and the Asian community together, because the houses that my sister and her husband were living in when I first came here was owned by an Indian family, but then they moved out. But then when you moved around, you moved from, it didn't matter who owned the house, providing that you had a room to rent. I wanted to study. I had planned on coming here for 5 years and back to Barbados, and that didn't work out, so I'm still here. But the majority of West Indians came over here, and that was a fixed idea, because you were asked to come over here, and you expected that you were only going to come for a period of time. You hear Enoch Powell talking about rivers of blood and all such like. And the funny thing about it is that he was the one that went over to the Caribbean and encouraged you to come here. You see, and after he got you here, then I suppose he there were so many people coming that he got afraid and talked about rivers of blood. Although there were West Indians coming here before, as one know, the first influx of West Indian came, and I don't know if you heard about the Windrush.
Yeah.
That was the first influx, and most of those were Trinidadians and Jamaicans came on the Windrush. It was when I was, that was my official picture when I was mayor first time round. And the one at the bottom, that is, again, when I was at the palace for my MBE. The one at the top, again, was taken, that was an official picture, but it was without the robes on. And the one at the bottom, again, was at the palace. The other two, again, was at the palace, but the one at the bottom is with my late wife and my two daughters.
So tell us about your journey to become the mayor of Ipswich.
I got involved with the Caribbean Club, and Joan Coppin, she was a councillor at that time, and she was very vocal in talking about discrimination. She said to me, Hamil, why are you in politics? I said, what? What do I want to get involved in politics for? Because I have always been politically minded anyway from a young age in Barbados. Similarly, as I was trying to persuade her to be a member of the Caribbean Association, because we talked about the Caribbean Association, but it wasn't just about Caribbean. It was bringing all the communities together as how we envisioned it. She persuaded me then to put my name forward to be to be a counsellor. And to my surprise, I was selected, and I was elected. Yeah. And it went from there. And I then became mayor in 1998.
Yeah.
Yes. And even more surprised when I was asked a second time.
Yeah.
Yes. But I enjoyed it. It was a journey, I must say.
So coming to the final question, like looking back to the days when you first came to Ipswich, what difference do you see as in terms of community interaction?
Things have changed considerably. There's no doubt about that. The legislation that government made, where you could buy a house, people can't gazump you like they used to. People can't refuse to sell you your house because you're black, although there are different ways that they went about it, and so on. And bringing the equality law into effect made life easier for you. But in saying that, you can't legislate for people's minds. So racism is still there. As a matter of fact, it is getting worse in some aspects, because it is getting a bit more sophisticated in how people go about perpetrating racism. But it is easier, and you get communities working together more, and they're not fragmented like they used to, and it's easier to persuade them to be part of one community. Ipswich is a lot more fortunate than a number of other places, and it takes a lot of hard work, but I find that the powers that be, regardless of their prejudices and their biases, they find that having a community that is reasonably stable, they don't put as many barriers that they used to in your way. Yeah. I mean, I go around the country and you say you're from Ipswich, and then after your networking, people say, "Oh, you're from Ipswich, are you? Are you from that place that got all of those different communities?" Yeah. And there's no trouble, because we work very hard at maintaining a level of community spirit, and we get help a bit, but most of it are done by the communities themselves.
Okay.
Yes, and that's something that I'm proud of.
Here with us is Hamil's daughter Juliet, and it's nice having a chat with her. Hello.
Hello.
First of all, I'd like to ask you, where were you born and brought up?
I was born and brought up in Ipswich.
Okay. And what's your profession?
I'm a nurse.
Okay.
Work in an A&E department.
Okay.
Started off at Ipswich Hospital and now work in Birmingham. My mum was a nurse, my stepmother was a nurse, I've got two aunties that were nurses, and I wanted to be a nurse from the age of 5. So my poor brothers got bandaged up and plasters all over them, which they hated.
What does Caribbean culture mean to you?
It's my heritage.
Okay.
You know, although I was born here in England, my parents are from the Caribbean, so it's part of my heritage.
Do you ever cook Caribbean food?
Yeah, most of the time. I introduced it to my husband, who loves it.
What do you normally have in a typical authentic Caribbean dish?
It's usually fried chicken and peas and rice is a typical of Caribbean food. My favourite though is my dad's neck of lamb soup. I love that.
And how do you think your journey would be a bit different from your father's?
Well, I think we were, as children and growing up now, it's been a lot easier for us because of what they did with the communities, and the racism got easier. So I think we definitely had an easier time because of them and what they did, working hard with the communities to make us included. We still had our problems, and there's always somebody that won't like you because of the colour of your skin, but the way my parents brought me up was just to ignore that.
What were your emotional feelings when your dad became the mayor of Ipswich for the first time?
I was extremely excited and very, very proud, mainly because it was having another black mayor, but then it was my dad, so I could tell everybody and attend some of the functions. Actually had an interview on the day he was getting sworn in, and they were running late, and I couldn't think about the interview. All I kept thinking is I need to get out because I've got to go and see my dad sworn in as mayor. So yeah, it was a really exciting day, and they phoned me just as my taxi phoned up to give me the job, so I got promotion on the same day as my dad became mayor, which was really good. And at the same time, he also in that year got his MBE, so that was a double excitement and doubly proud. And we went to the palace because I'd never been to the palace before, so that was really, really an exciting time. Big family occasions, we all, as many of us as possible, try and get together. And my wedding was a prime example, and family came from America, Barbados, and then obviously all my cousins and their children. It was a big wedding which was fantastic. And then in Barbados it was like my grandmother's 90th birthday, so I was the only one that made it from England, but over there was family that came from Canada, America. So I'm so very proud of having my Caribbean heritage, and I go back and see family. I'm definitely more British, but I definitely feel Caribbean.